In my opinion, Liverpool have the best attack in the league. And to me, it's clear that the amount of depth they have going forward is one of the strongest in Europe. With a lot of different players getting credit, I want to look at a player that has not got much this season. And that is someone I think is vital to the success of Liverpool Football Club this year, obviously being Diogo Jota. Now, in a majority of the Liverpool games this season, Diogo Jota isn't going to start and he's going to be much more of an impact sub. But I do think this role plays really well into his skill set and to what Liverpool actually need right now. For one, I'm someone that really rates Darwin Nunez. I think he's an amazing player, and I do think sometimes he shows a bit of problems trying to score goals, but overall I think what he brings to the team is excellent, and he's also a brilliant player to watch. And Nunez and Jota are very similar in very many ways, but they're also quite different, which I think is very important for this team. Jota's greatest strength is the pace at which he carries the ball. He's very good at moving at high speed with the ball and breaking lines very quickly. This is something that's definitely helped him in his career. He's very good on a counter-attacking system, and Liverpool do counter-attacks a lot. When a team goes up against them and tries to press them, or the fact that Liverpool have their intensive high press trying to win the ball back in very high positions, this does help because Jota is very good at carrying that ball that way and running very fast again to the box. This ability I think is very important for Liverpool later on in games when teams are getting a bit more tired. Having that pace resurgence that can come on and run past players, and he's got a very good dribbling ability, is brilliant. I think Nunez, who I would have the star as a striker right now, has got good dribbling ability, but sometimes the ball gets caught under his feet, and often I think he's better in space with running where the ball can kind of go where it wants rather than in tight spaces, which Jota is very good at. Jota has also shown a brilliant ability with both feet, and he doesn't mind shifting the ball into his right foot and his left foot to go past players or even to shoot from distance or in close range. This versatility is good because it means he's not relying on a certain angle or a certain shot to score, such as a winger for instance rather being on their right foot than their left foot, which happens quite a lot with traditional wingers. Obviously people like Salah, it doesn't really affect, but people like Diaz might have that problem. This is also another thing that's brilliant for Jota because he can use both feet. He can kind of play on either wing. You'd rather play him on that left, I think, because on the right you have options that can play there, such as Harvey Elliott, and with his running and dribbling ability he's very good at creating chaos down that wing and going past players. I actually think Nunez is quite good on that wing sometimes as well in space and has had good games there, but sometimes he doesn't have that clinical edge at the end, and this is probably the big thing that sets Jota out. I actually think he's probably the best finisher in Liverpool's team. Maybe Salah actually, and maybe Diaz can be considered sometimes, but I think Jota is a brilliant finisher in this team and he's the most clinical. But Jota is overall in his whole time at Liverpool basically averaged the same XG and goals that he should have had. I think it's 65 to 65 each, but I do think his clinicalness has definitely improved over the last few years, and I would rely on him in a 1v1 situation over than most people in that team. And the breakdown of the goals that he scores is crazy. Since the 2018-2019 season, his shot breakdown, he's had right, he's had 162 shots, left he's had 140 shots, and on his head he has had 80. And despite being 5'10", he is very good in the air. He scores a lot of headers and gets a lot of chances. He has a really good leap on him and uses his whole body to try and get the whole much power against it, and he's actually a very good option in the air. He's not going to win a header necessarily, but if you get him in space he will take the chance from the head, and he's very clinical. And sometimes Jota's positioning and work rate with the team up front hasn't necessarily worked the best. I mean, even Curtis Jones said that his nickname was the Ghost because he sometimes drifts out of games, but then he'll pick the ball up, run past a few people and usually score or create a chance, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, he doesn't need to be everywhere, that's not necessarily his role. He's a very clinical player going forward, and he's very vital and very dominating in that areas, and arguably I think he's probably the clutchest forward in the Premier League. He's definitely up there, I think. And since he's joined Liverpool he's been very consistent. He's very good at Wolves as well, and you can tell why the Liverpool wanted him in their team because his role, he just fitted seamlessly in, and he has been the whole time. Obviously he's had injury problems, he isn't necessarily a confined starter, but that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. He is a natural fit for that high tempo game that Klopp plays, and in a fluid front three or even fluid midfield I'd say at this point, he's very good at finding positions in there and can also play in a wide range of positions. What I like about him is that even if he's playing up front, he likes coming in deep and kind of messing with the defenders and trying to hold up the ball, trying not really to go on the turn, more to sort of part it out and get into an elevated position so the ball can be in the box or get closer. This is cool because at the end of the day he is a 5'10" striker. Sometimes you feel like he might get pushed off the ball, but he's very good at doing that role, and he's very unique at finding that through ball, and he has helped big players in the past like Salah, like Diaz, getting behind from him coming deeper. I really like that. Jota also has a bit of bias to go to this left side. He likes to get help from the left back to sort of do 1-2s and run off him. He's very good running past players, and he doesn't mind being out completely on that left side really far away and cutting in. I mean, as an Arsenal fan myself, this player has given me nightmares before. He is so good against us. He's so good against running against our defenders, and he's not afraid, and sometimes that is the worst thing for against our team especially. He's someone that is not afraid to just run at you and try his best to get past you, and with his elite dribbling ability and his really fast pace he has with the ball, it often is very hard to tackle him, and he is usually quite clinical even though some people don't think he is. And his link-up play has always been been pretty good. It was pretty good at Wolves. I think it's got better at Liverpool. He really works well with a striker, I think, that likes running in behind, like Nunez. We saw it against Bournemouth. I think that was a really good partnership because often Nunez can actually switch with him. Nunez has put a bit more out to that left and Jota will come into the middle. And with Jota going deeper, Nunez has that space now to run in behind. And although this may cause problems maybe on that left side and other reasons, I think going forward, this is a very good option to have, especially later on in the game if you want to bring Jota on and change something up. And it worked really well in that Bournemouth game. They sort of played as a bit of a two up front because as much as Nunez was kind of on that left wing, he kind of came inside a lot and Jota played on the bit of the right side of the front too. And they really worked well together because one of them was always running off the last defender. And obviously Nunez took his chance in the end, and obviously Jota, we know, is clinical. He's going to take his chances. He took two and it was a really good goal. And often they had Gakpo running with them, so they had three players proper pressing the defence for that Bournemouth, and it was really good considering obviously you don't have your top players like Salah. To have these sort of players as your backups, I mean, Nunez is pretty much a starter now, but he didn't start at the start of the season, and Gakpo's not really a starter, nor is Jota, and that's their backups, and they're just thrashing Bournemouth, who have been on really good form recently. It kind of shows the quality their attacking line has, with people like Diaz, Elliott, Salah not even anywhere near this team because obviously injuries or whatever happened. Now you're having real good midfield performances, shifts getting put in. You saw Endo put some shifts in. Obviously Soboslai's been good, a bit on and off, but he's been good most of the season. And we're seeing the real likes of Curtis Jones and McAllister, I think, have really stepped up recently. I think in the last few weeks, these two players have been really key for Liverpool, as well as Jota coming off the bench and starting the odd game here, getting a brace and an assist. It's light work for him. He comes in for one game, he does that. That is very, very enjoyable to watch and really shows the quality that they have. And the longer the season's going on, the longer you're looking at how good Liverpool really are. I thought, and some people thought, that they really were going to flip up and have a lot of issues in the future, obviously with these cups coming up and a lot of key players being out, and also the fact that they were scoring long shots in some games where they didn't even play that well. But that's not been the case at all. They've been consistently good even with substitute players playing. I don't even think some of their players are the best in the world, and they still provide brilliant tactics. It just shows how good the system is and how good of a manager Klopp is. The midfield and the attack have really worked together, and they're one of the most elite and most devastating sides to play against in the country. And even the likes of some of the defenders coming in, Kwanzaa's come in, and Connor Bradley's been playing a bit recently, playing to a really high level. I mean, he is a traditional fullback. He's just going to do the tackles in there, but it works with how good their system is. And they've always got runners in that midfield. I mean, against Fulham, to get to the Carabao Cup final, they played Elliott, McAllister and Gravenberch. Three players that love running and love controlling with the ball. And it was still enough for them to get into the final and do a good performance, of a lot of these players not even really starting recently. Let me know, Liverpool fans, what you think the chances of your team are this year. I get that you probably don't want to jinx it, don't want to call it out too early, but you are playing very well, and this is a very good chance for you this season. You've got a big month coming up when the football comes back. Salah looks like he's injured for a little bit. I think Trent will be back by the time you next play in the league, maybe. But going forward, the issues aren't really there when all these players are still fit, and Jota's come back and he's looked brilliant straight away. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please watch my video about talking about Endo and why he's been so vital to Liverpool this season. And if you like any of my content, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.